When?
When?
Are we rolling?
We are, sir.
Oh,
Marvellous. Well, we're here, or I'm here, at your place.
yeah, again.
Present day production. And we have a special apparatus. I have taken my 3-week training course on how to use it.
Yep, you have your safety goggles on.
I've got the safety goggles on, yes.
Excellent.
And what are we going to do? We are going to try out the brand new iLoud MTM MKII. But yeah, hopefully they work, because
They're
they're
still
in the
sealed.
box, and just drove a good 3 hours to come here. So that's the wonderful thing. I thought, if we're going to try out some speakers, we need to try out in, number one, a really amazing sounding room, and also with you lovely fellows.
Oh, thank you.
And that would be Mark and Jay's behind the camera.
Hello.
From Present Day Production, who you know are specialists in speakers. So this is going to be interesting, because
I'm really keen to try them. I've heard a lot about the Mark 1s, never heard them. I know a lot of people are using the Mark 1s they sort of did a package for Atmos, didn't they? That measures itself as
Yep.
well as these do. I think they've got
Yep.
calibration software with them. So I'm really excited to
we
try
had a
them.
pair for a couple of years. We had that classic setup where we had an SSL over here with some big speakers, a couple of pairs of big speakers, but the screen was over there. So we had a pair of these sitting by the screen, so when you're editing,
Yeah, perfect.
they're absolutely perfect, and you go around and mix over there. So I've heard them and I've liked them. A couple of my friends highly recommended them early on, like big producers were using them. So yeah, we got into them, and they have the bigger pair than this that my son has.
Right.
Yeah, but I think this is the Mark II. I want to hear what it sounds like, and what better way to do it but with you gentlemen.
Yeah. Exciting. Looks like it comes with a space rocket.
It does come with a space rocket, otherwise known as a microphone that you use for measuring.
That's a microphone.
All right, I'm going to use the special apparatus.
Special apparatus. Mind your fingers.
Oh,
Stand back.
lovely.
Oh, more boxes, look.
Boxes inside of boxes. Am I going to be able to get this out without having
Somebody in there.
to tip it up? No, we have to tip it up. All right. James is going to have to tip L camera down. That was infinitely quicker. All right.
Oh, they're upside down. You got the Australian ones.
I always think of Spike Milligan. You ever read Puckoon or my Adolf Hitler, My Life in Falling Us Down, My Partner's Downfall,
Cool.
sorry.
Blimey, he wouldn't be able to do that now, would he?
Where he's trying to prove that he has flat feet. And so he dyes the bottom of his feet and stands on paper. And everybody's like, well, that's just because you're pressing down on it. So he stands on his head, he's got his feet up like this, and they put the paper on the bottom. And then the Sergeant Major walks in and says, Milligan, what are you doing? And he's like, practicing for when I go to Australia, sir.
Almost like a kid at Christmas here,
I
isn't
know
he?
he
Look,
is.
he's like, all we need is the tree up. Is this what he's like on Christmas Day? Ooh.
Yeah, they're not rather spiffing. All right, can we get?
Yep.
He says tripping over. Can we get this on camera easily?
We can.
Okay, great. James is assuring us that he can zero in on this.
Let's undo
So
this
it
one.
looks like there's low frequency extension. Okay, so it's plus 2 dB, minus 3 dB for the low and high. There's a sensitivity control, I see, so depending on what input you put in, you can make it go to plus 4 or minus 10 dB. But there's 60 hertz, 50 hertz, 40 hertz. Or it looks like it defaults to 80 hertz, but you can select those 3 settings. And then for high frequency, it just says plus 2 or minus 3. And then there's the calibration preset, hold to calibrate. Desk flat. Okay. Input volume here, center to 10. Input is going to be, obviously there's 1/4 inch and XLR inputs. There's the ARC mic in, okay. And USB. I wonder, like other ones, these might connect between the two and you just run the calibration on one. What does yours say on the back? Classic English guys not even looking at the manual.
Not even looking at the manual.
No.
We've got lots of little buttons.
Same as the other one, yeah?
Yeah.
And a USB input. Maybe that's to store the settings once you've got them?
Could be, yeah. Or maybe that acts as an interface. You can just plug them into your computer. Possibly, I don't know.
Well, at the moment,
Let's find out.
are we seeing any connectors between the two? That's
Yeah,
probably
we've got
what's-
a box of bits here.
Okay, so mic and mic clip. Alrighty. And then... so, I'm trying to figure out then, it looks like... It looks like you've got the arc mic in. And I was just wondering if does it take a measurement of one speaker at a time?
I would imagine it does a sweep of each one.
That's what you'd assume. So how do the two speakers connect together? So I've not yet. I've seen the USB cable, but I suppose I was making that assumption that they were going to connect between the two.
Yeah, there's a USB cable here as well, which is the same as yours. So.
Okay, so my guess is that the USB, you run the arc into the back there. You put your microphone in the listening position. It reads both of them. It takes the information and then dumps it via USB back into the storage of the speakers themselves.
Yes, so yeah. If we'd have read the manual at this point, we would know that the best way to calibrate the iLoud monitors is by downloading the free X Monitor software available for both Mac and PC. This talks to the speakers via the USB port and enables you to calibrate the monitors from the listening position with step-by-step instructions. Once calibrated, X Monitor displays pre- and post-correction response curves, lets you create your own custom frequency response curves, offers full control of all back panel features, and allows you to load speaker emulations with different curves available for over 20 different types of popular studio monitor. It also enables firmware updates and diagnostics should you experience a problem with your speakers. You can also activate a small floating software remote control panel that enables you to switch between your 4 favourite presets without having to move away from your DAW screen. The user interface is clean and intuitive, and even I felt at home with it in no time at all. But its simplicity doesn't compromise its functionality. It's just a really well-designed piece of software that perfectly complements the speakers, and the important bit, the calibration process, is one of the most straightforward I've encountered. Although, for accuracy between the two speakers, because you have to calibrate one at a time, it would be worth marking the 4 different microphone positions required with tape on the floor. Anyway, back to us fumbling around in the studio.
Isn't it so much fun when you don't read a manual?
So when Nick and I do this, we called it like two idiots abroad kind of thing. You know, wasn't that like the two idiot engineers?
Yeah, I can't even undo a bag. That's how good I am. Let's rip it.
Well, that's why I didn't even make any attempt at trying to do the speakers. Can you imagine me trying to do it?
And that's why you were like, "I'll do the camera.
I'll do the camera.
I'll do the camera."
But it does like you can screw these onto a standard mic stand,
Oh, that's
which
good.
would be a very good thing.
Definitely that way.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? But the thread doesn't reach the...
Mine does.
Does it?
Yeah.
Don't tell him how you did it. That's not part of the deal.
I
Mike's got to work it out.
screwed it in.
That's what I'm
don't
trying
have
to
any
do, but
secret.
that doesn't...
Voila.
Voila. These little things here, these are called pluggy DOMs. And what they do is they stop the mains cables breeding with the other cables in the box and making a weird hybrid mains USB cross that could potentially be dangerous. So always keep these on when you're not using the plugs.
Pluggy DOMs.
It's far from the weirdest thing I've heard in this studio.
Far from the weirdest thing.
Oh, yes.
Oh no, you've televised some of the weird things that have been said in the studio. Yes, we've all heard them.
Yeah.
Yes, we have a blue light
have a
on,
blue
only
light.
on the right one, not on the left.
Oh, so I done something wrong.
You've broken it.
Yes, I have. It wasn't actually detentive. All right, so blue light and blue light.
Hey.
Nice.
You cut that.
Catastic. Okay, great, perfect. Place microphone at point 1. Boom on the stand as far away from the stand as possible. Okay. Helps raw reflections of the stand. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. I don't know where the calibrate button is, but basically, I'm sitting here. Please, ladies and gentlemen, remember to loosen your stands before actually moving them. I've seen so many people when it's tied up just go,
Mark does that, don't you, Mark?
oh dear.
Now I found a calibration button, but it says Cal preset.
Well,
So
it says hold calibration button. I
Yeah.
assumed it was on the actual mic.
I'd like to have the calibration on the mic if it is.
Well, it's on.
That would be a sensible place to
There
put
is
the
a-
calibration button on the mic.
Let's have a look. Okay, so it's 4 positions. So if we make that the center as the head, it's basically in front and behind the head position. So I'm going to go to the front lip here.
Okay.
So I'm going to go like 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's easy.
Cool.
So this is 1. So it says connect the blah blah blah, which we've done. Mic stand. Keep the cow preset button pressed for 3 seconds to enable iLoud's calibration mode. The cow LED on the back and the front LED will start blinking. Press the cow preset button to begin measurement.
I'm going to hold it in for 3 seconds. Let's see what happens. Oh,
It's flashing.
it's flashing.
Okay, and then it says press the cow preset button to begin measurement on the current point. Did it only come out of that speaker?
Yeah,
Sounded like it.
yeah.
So we are going to have to do each individual speaker.
And it's reported as well because I felt a noticeable gust
A gust
come
from
out of the back here. Yeah.
of the low end. All right, so let's do position number 2.
Okie dokie.
Okay.
Okay.
Position number 3. And position number 4. I suppose now it's
Nice.
green. It's green.
It's green.
It went green and now it's gone to white.
Fantastic.
Okay. So let's go to the other speaker. Position number 1. If we magically now plug in USB cables and it all comes up, I'll be amazed.
That would be incredible.
If it's really this easy, I'll be happy.
Okay, now I'm holding the button down on this one and nothing's happening.
Yeah, it's blue on the front rather than white. To be honest, this is probably because Mark's doing it, and as we know, Mark is allergic to technology. All the ones and zeros will be getting jumbled.
I think you'll find technology is allergic to me. Here we go. Right, that's now in calibration mode. So we're in position 1. Position 2.
Trois. Position. Trois.
Or Troyes, if you're French.
Troy.
And Quattro.
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 Quad.
I assume that's it.
Green light.
Green light.
Green light. Okay.
Calibration complete.
There's some good do's and don'ts, like don't aim it over your head and don't aim it at your chest.
Aha.
Thank you.
Do not point this at your cat.
So that there's a lot of super low bass in this track. That's not there. I don't expect that out of a speaker of that size at all. But there is
The beginnings of it.
usable bass there. You could do a mix. You could mix a bass guitar
Right.
on those without a sub, I think.
I'm impressed with the front to back. The vocal's
Yeah.
definitely sitting out here.
Yeah, definitely.
Straight away, you're hearing a good amount of detail.
I was going to
Yeah.
say the mid detail and the detail in the high end is really good.
They're pretty kind of good on the transients as well. There's quite a good impact on the snares and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
To me, a vocal sitting out front, knowing a great mixer wants to do that. They want to have that ball
You
of
want it
energy
there.
here.
Yeah.
And I don't know this song at all. And the fact that it's doing that
Yeah.
is a good sign for me.
That's a surprisingly good amount of low end. And they get pretty loud as well, don't they? I wouldn't want to go louder than that, I don't think.
You what?
Hey?
Hey?
They sound very balanced,
They do, don't they?
like tonally.
Yeah, so they're a little bit in the top end, but not overly so, not distractingly so.
Sure.
There are quite this. So this is a really well recorded and well produced track. Obviously,
Yeah,
it's Michael
very much
Jackson. There are some noticeable details missing in this that you hear on
Really expensive.
Expensive one.
speaker.
really expensive speakers, but generally only really expensive speakers. You're not going to hear it on
Yeah.
Yamaha HSs or anything like that either. Can you just have a look around the back and see if we are on that calibration preset? Because it would be interesting to hear them without as well.
Yeah.
How do I tell?
I don't know.
Oh, right, okay. So there's a button. It says desk, flat, or cal.
Oh, I see. Okay, try flat.
So yeah, because they're not on the
Yeah,
desktop.
just set that to flat.
Is it? So this, I assume, will be anechoically flat, doing whatever the room is doing.
Surprisingly
No
loud,
calibration.
considering they're only supposed to be 100 watts a side.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's better, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
So that's gone to flat, yeah?
Yeah.
Yes. So there's no calibration.
Yeah, the guitar's much better. The transients on the percussion are much better. The low end's much better.
So we turned off the calibration we created.
Yep.
Interesting. So the calibration softened the mid-range.
Yeah.
Is that because we all like our mid-range forward speakers?
I didn't dislike the calibrated sound. I thought it sounded quite balanced, but now I've heard this.
This is better.
I prefer this
It's more dynamic
a lot.
as well. You often find, so calibration is something you need to do, especially single mic calibration like that. It's something, I mean, we did it in what, 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It's something you need to spend a few hours on generally, isn't it?
Yes.
And really dial it in
Yeah.
to the room and your preferences as well, because that'll try and make the frequency response flat, but we don't all like flat. I'm very sensitive to around 3K.
Yep.
So if I hear something flat, I instantly want to reach for the EQ and notch 3K out of it. So that obviously works as a starting point, and it's very good that that's in the speaker and it's that quick to do.
Sure.
But I think you'd need to load the software and just go in.
That sounded like a
tweak
nice
the
increase
taste.
at about 7 and just below.
We're getting more super low bass.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the bass is great now. So the moral, I think, so far is listen to it with and without the calibration and see what you prefer.
Yeah, and I think that's the same with any calibration, really,
Yeah.
as well. Because, the calibration can only calibrate it to an algorithm, which is normally flat,
Right.
which can be a bit lifeless. And I thought they sounded a bit lifeless. Now they've got a bit more life back. What I generally prefer to do, or what I've preferred to do over the years with any monitors I've used, is get them as sounding as good in the room as they can in terms of positioning, and then just get used to them. So get used to the sound of them, have lots of reference tracks that you know really well.
Well, speaking of that, now that I've got a flavour and I've heard it through
have
your ears, I'm going to pick a couple of reference tracks I know well. I'm going to be selfish and go to things I've recorded, just because I know how they sound. And as usual, I'm going to go to How to Save a Life at the very end, because it's my old drum room.
I must admit though, just straight away after listening just on a few tracks, I am impressed considering the price bracket that these speakers are in.
That's a very distinctive room.
Sounds like my drum room. The mid-mids are really good. You hear the ring on the snare, and you hear, because there's no sample on that, you hear it all slightly differently depending on where he's playing it.
Yeah.
It doesn't have that very flat, here's just the most generic reproduction I could hear. That's quite detailed. I do like that. So it does support what we used to use them for, which was really for editing, because we wanted to hear the mids and the high mids. So far, not offensive.
There's nothing that pokes out as ew, like it would with an NS10.
Oh yeah.
For example, with the what? What's going on in the mid range? Okay, so I'm hearing a James. Can you just switch to ours, because I'm hearing a really horrible resonance in the vocal there that I'm fairly sure isn't there, and that might be a consequence of just the form factor of the cabinet. If you just go back to the beginning of the song, it was just those first 2 high notes he does with the call. Yeah, so I'm hearing a bit of cabinet there.
Is that about 700?
In that. Yeah.
If I was to be super picky about one thing, I'd say maybe just the super high end. If you were to, you know how the difference between MP3 and WAV files, you can just hear that kind of ever so slight tail off in the high end where it's kind of aliasing that data. That's almost what I feel like these are doing to a degree. I'm not saying it's anything that would ruin the ability to mix. You can still hear it, but I feel like it's just missing that tiny little crispiness that you might get from like more high-end monitors. Again, these are £500 a pair or near enough. it's to be expected.
The detail that you
But-
get from a pair that costs 10 times as much isn't there, but that's what you.
That's what I'm saying.
you'd
But for
expect.
the price, I don't feel like these would hold me back from mixing at all.
No,
I feel
no,
like they're
exactly.
perfectly revealing.
And for a small room on a desktop, considering a pair of those is less than the retail cost of one of our bass drivers, that's fairly insane. And you're getting amplification, room correction.
It's pretty crazy stuff.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
These are my vocal testers.
Yeah, so I mean, they go pretty loud before
pretty
they
cracky.
Considering their size, they go damn loud.
They
And that
do.
was
They
do.
Just hitting the clipping thing, just.
But
You know what they sound like to me? Sorry about this. They sound like 1031 Genelecs to me,
right,
which are like $4,000 or something.
yeah,
They have that sort of mid-range. They don't quite have that super modern kind of like, softness in the mids and stuff like that. Now, we've got the calibration off. Probably if we put it back on, they would start to sound much more modern and soft. I don't like modern soft speakers. I grew up with NS10, so I like forward mid-range. I like to be able to work off it. They got a lot of low mids when you think, because that's how that vocal sounded. That was a U47, 1073, and then 2 compression chains. So you had it like always compressing aggressively, blended in with light compression, so it always feels forward.
Yeah.
And it did that really well.
the forwardness of the vocal was it portrayed that very well.
It did, yeah.
In terms of tonality, I'm not sure I'd want to make too many major EQ decisions with them, especially the louder they get, you can hear that sort of distortion from cheaper amps starting to come in, which again you'd expect for the size. They sound a bit like PC speakers when you crank them. I thought,
But listening at human volume
at
levels,
normal volume levels, they're
I think they're actually quite good at representing what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, we had it clipping, and I was...
yeah.
I had my eyes closed. I just wanted to like not look at them and not have an impression about the size.
Yeah.
And they reminded me a lot of like 1031s cranked,
Right.
sitting in the room when I made this, because we made this record on a pair of 1031s. And I was like, that doesn't sound a million miles away from, where I
that's
placed the
interesting.
guitars,
Yeah.
how I placed them, and everything. I think they serve 2 purposes. I think for younger people, they're going to be loud, compact, detailed for the price range, and for ye older members of the world, the right-hand side sitting over here, they'll probably be mid-range forward enough to be able to work on.
Yeah, I mean, after just a short period listening to them, I don't think I'd hesitate if someone was to say, like, have you got a cheap recommendation for monitors? I think, they'd certainly get you started for sure.
I'm just wondering, it's almost like I wish we had another pair or something in this price range so we could just do a quick comparison. But my memory is, knowing them well, to be honest, they're a lot louder than I was expecting them to be. I don't know if they
same.
are.
Yeah.
Considering 100 watts RMS per speaker, I would have put that at 200, no problem, and not even blinked. Although 200 is only, exponentially 10% louder. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, it's not
It's only a certain percentage louder.
not a straight line. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm quite blown away with the amount of output before that red light comes on.
Yeah, I think that's the secret.
And it was only
Don't clip
briefly.
it.
Yeah, it was only briefly clipping. As
Do we
well,
know
but you
how
could kind
low
of hear
these
that.
go in terms of low
Depends
extension?
on the stands.
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
It says 40 hertz, and I'm
Right.
sure it does. I doubt if it's 0 at 40 hertz. It might be -3, -6 dB, but
Yeah.
it can reproduce that low.
So I was going to say, for such a relatively small speaker to be producing low frequencies and going that loud is no small feat of engineering.
Yeah, and that's what, a 3-inch driver?
4, I think. Looks like a 4.
Looks like our mids kind of size.
Yeah, but the mids are further away.
Oh yeah. That's
They're
the
3s.
small cow, big cow
think.
thing, isn't it?
Do you want to actually, will you hit the calibration and see what it does to this mid range? Because this is so stark between the mids and the lows. Let's see if it benefits. It's not a huge difference. It definitely tucked it like this. Not as dramatic as I thought it was going to be.
I definitely still prefer the uncalibrated version, to be honest.
Yeah.
Which sounds like
Yeah, I
it
think
sounds
so.
like a crime saying that, but that's how it is.
Yeah, I think they're great. I would be great to compare them and other speakers in this price range, but my gut is exactly the same thing. That they are good mid-range forward without the calibration. They are very, very loud for their size, they are deceptively big for their size. I got
Yeah,
completely
for
lost
sure.
on that Augustana track, and I was just taken back to sitting in front of a pair of 1031s. And then my eyes remembered they were really just this small. So I suppose this is going to suit that person with restricted amount of space. Number one.
Yep.
Yep.
So probably here in a lot of environments.
Yeah, the porting is at the rear, so you're going to have to be careful with rear wall
Right.
placement. But that could be used to advantage. That could be used to boost the bass if you can
Right.
get those back as far against the wall as you can. The port's not actually right at the back. You have cables and stuff sticking out
Sure.
to give it a little. And wasn't a huge amount of air coming out of it.
I had the General X that were this
In the cabinet.
size, and they were actually that colour, the grey colour. I'm blanking on what the model name was, and they didn't have any of this low lows that
Right.
these have.
Right.
I mean, the low end on Sledgehammer
Yeah,
sounded unbelievable.
yeah, it was really good.
So that's telling me that if you do a really good mix,
Yeah,
they're going to let you know.
yeah,
And if you do a rubbish mix, they're going to let you know,
Yeah.
which is exactly what you want from your
Yeah.
speakers at the end of the day.
I mean, I don't mix bass guitar or bass synth below my kick drum.
Yeah.
So my life is be perfectly fine on these because I know the amount of subbiness I need on my kick drum, and I know where my bass guitar or bass synth or whatever sits against the kick drum. There might be 1 out of 1,000 songs I get where it's like subbiness and the kick's going knock, knock, knock. But 99% of the stuff I do, the kick drum, the low end on that is the lowest thing. So that is so easy for me to control in a mix because I know what I'm doing. I think these will probably sell to, like I said, those two different people. People that already know how they want their music to sound will love this because it's
Yeah.
small and compact. And, they'll go, oh, yeah, I don't need, I can wipe my 20 hertz off here, and they don't care whether they can hear 20 hertz or not because they know not to put it in.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
And I think there's lots of uses for, well, if you're on tour with a major act and you're
Right.
on a tour bus and
Right.
you're editing the video for social media of the show you did tonight
Yeah.
on the way to the next city, you can set a pair of those up in your bunk. As well as headphones, obviously, and I think there's lots of use cases for
Definitely.
situations like that as well, for people that are on the go, that are mobile all the time, that want a pair of speakers they can get to know.
And just because of their size as well. I mean, you could stick 2 of those in a backpack.
Oh, easy.
They are
Yeah.
tiny.
Yeah,
I think that's what I keep coming back to in my mind is like, they're so far the best sounding speakers I've heard at that size.
Yes.
And they
Yes.
compete with other speakers that are bigger at that price range. So perfect for traveling, perfect for small environments, and probably perfect if you've got 2 or 3 sets of speakers. Like you might have a couple of
Yeah.
pairs here and you want to put another pair there, just for I think that's probably what they're doing. If they're trying to give you the sound you expect out of something twice the size. Because twice the size isn't that big. Stick 2 of those together, it's totally
Yeah.
that wide.
exactly. Yeah, it's yeah. But again, for Atmos,
Oh, yeah.
perfect. Just stick them on mic stands all around the room.
What's the other thing? Small Atmos rig. A room that's only this deep.
Yeah,
You could do the whole Atmos system with these.
yeah.
And obviously a relatively low budget. I mean,
Yeah.
still 500 quid a pair, but 12 of those, that's 6 pairs. You're looking at $3,000 for a full set of speakers.
That's pretty good.
That's really not bad.
Yeah,
You
you
could-
throw in the Aurea, which is how much?
2,500.
2,500.
So 5.5 for a full kit.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could spend it on a high-end pair of headphones, couldn't you?
Yeah, you could.
Yeah, or just 1 pair of speakers.
Yes, also
Indeed.
true.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so that's sort of the verdict. The verdict is incredible sound for the size, no doubt. When the limiter comes on, we heard a little bit of the distortion coming in, but they're bleeding loud. I had them absolutely cranked.
That was
It's
loud.
way louder than you'd normally mix, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, I just wanted to get lost in it, and I cranked it and closed my eyes. But very loud for the size, great bass response for the size. I mean, they basically sound like bigger speakers. They sound like bigger speakers. So it really comes down to like if size is important to you, they're going to win out of anything in that price range. So the next thing up is really like what's important to you. Mobility and size, then I wouldn't even bother looking at any of the competition. If size is not important, then yes, definitely compare them to other things in the price range. Pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing how far technology's come
sure.
on.
Be
Isn't
like,
it?
next
Really?
week, it'd be like, here's a new pair of 500-watt speakers.
Exactly.
No.
Yeah.
Good work. Really good work. Yep.
There's just one thing I want to try.
Please, check away.
I've always wanted to do this.
So, as usual, enter down below to win great speakers. Thanks everyone for watching. So long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, au revoir, adios, goodbye.